Here are two facts about Kumamoto Prefecture. Both true, both happening at the same time. Kumamoto has its share of Japan's vacant house problem. Ordinary rural Akiya, sitting cheap and empty like almost everywhere else in the country. And in 2023, a town inside that same prefecture recorded the single fastest rising land price of any location in all of Japan, up over 30% in a single year. Cheap, abandoned houses and the country's hottest land market, in the same prefecture at the same time. The reason is not a coincidence, and understanding it tells you something most Akiya videos never mention. Sometimes the smartest place to buy a cheap house is not the boomtown itself, but a short drive away from it. The cause has a name, JASM, the Kumamoto-based semiconductor manufacturing venture built by Taiwan's TSMC together with Sony Semiconductor Solutions. Construction broke ground in Kikuyo Town in 2021. The first fab began production by the end of 2024, and combined investment across both of JASM's fabs now exceeds $20 billion, with a second, 6-nanometer facility alone backed by another $14 billion. Direct high-tech employment across the complex is expected to top 3,400 jobs, and once suppliers, contractors, and related companies are counted, local estimates put the total closer to 7,000 or 8,000 people. Kumamoto was already home to chip plants going back to the 1960s, which is why locals call the region Silicon Island. TSMC did not create that identity. It supercharged it. And the location was never an accident. Kumamoto sits at the geographic center of Kyushu, reachable from Fukuoka's international airport and shipping routes in under an hour by Shinkansen. Exactly the kind of connectivity a global supply chain needs, and exactly the kind of connectivity that makes the surrounding real estate suddenly worth fighting over. Here is where it actually touches real estate. Otsu Town, sitting close to the fab, recorded a land price jump of about 32% in 2023, the single largest increase anywhere in Japan that year. Across Kumamoto more broadly, housing prices rose roughly 9% in a single year as of 2025, and residential construction permits jumped over 20% year over year, thousands of new housing units approved in just the first 7 months. Part of the pressure is genuinely international. Hundreds of engineers relocating from Taiwan, together with their families, are actively competing for a limited supply of new-build land, made scarcer still by zoning rules that restrict how much residential land can be released near the fab in the first place. This is not the Akiya story. This is the opposite of the Akiya story, a pocket of Japan where a chip factory turned quiet farmland into some of the most competitive real estate in the country. It is also not a story without friction. The same groundwater that built Kumamoto's reputation for clean water is the water a chip fab consumes in enormous volume, and local reporting has already raised concerns about long-term groundwater impact as the second fab comes online. A boom this size rarely arrives with no trade-offs attached. And yet, a short train ride or drive from that exact boom, ordinary Kumamoto looks nothing like Otsu Town. The Shinkansen puts central Kumamoto about 35 minutes from Hakata and 45 from Kagoshima, genuinely well connected without carrying Otsu's inflated price tag. The rest of the prefecture still offers what the rest of rural Kyushu offers. Real Akiya, at ordinary prices, sitting in towns the semiconductor boom has not reached yet, if it ever does. Kumamoto's broader appeal has nothing to do with chips at all. It wraps around Mount Aso, one of the largest calderas on Earth, holds more than 1,000 hot spring facilities, and draws its tap water from groundwater clean enough to be named among Japan's 100 best waters nationally. A land rush concentrated in a handful of towns around one factory complex does not erase any of that, and it does not automatically inflate the price of a house 20 or 30 minutes further out. The internationalization is real too, just diluted at that distance. New international schools are opening to serve arriving families. And the local food culture, Basashi horse sashimi and karashirinken, spicy mustard-stuffed lotus root, gives an ordinary Kumamoto town its own identity that has nothing to do with a factory at all. So is Kumamoto's chip boom a reason to buy an Akiya there? Treat it as context, not a guarantee. Buying directly in Otsu Town today means competing with well-funded relocating engineers for land that has already tripled in desirability, the opposite of a bargain. But a cheap, ordinary Kumamoto Akiya, further from the fab, benefits from something most declining Japanese towns do not have: a large, real, well-documented wave of investment and job creation happening nearby, projected to ripple through the regional economy for a decade. That does not turn every Akiya in the prefecture into an investment. It does mean the demographic decline driving Japan's vacancy numbers is not the only force acting on Kumamoto right now. And a buyer who does the same inspection, financing, and residency homework this channel always insists on is doing it in a prefecture with more genuine upward pressure than most. The cheap house and the boomtown are 30 minutes apart. Which one you are actually buying near is worth checking before you sign anything. Check the actual distance to Kikuyo and Otsu on a map before you fall for a listing. Ask a local agent directly whether a given town has already felt the price pressure. And remember that a 10-year economic ripple effect is a forecast, not a receipt. The chip boom makes Kumamoto worth a second look. It does not make every Akiya in the prefecture a guaranteed win. If this made Japan's empty house market a little clearer, subscribe to Akiya Handbook, the channel that explains how Japan's cheap houses actually work, honestly, and without selling you anything. There is also a free guide waiting in the description, the Akiya Buyer's Starter Guide, how to buy a cheap house in Japan without getting burned. 11 chapters on the truth about so-called free houses, the hidden costs, and who should not buy. No hype, and completely free. The link is below. Thanks for watching.